Oh my god, my voice is hoarse. Holy shit. This video is sponsored by Vox Link. They're on the last couple days of their Kickstarter, and they are a community building app for tabletop games, including games like Warhammer 40,000. They're currently kickstarting to bring their game from the iOS version, which I tried at Adepticon and is absolutely the real deal, over to Android. So please go check them out in the my voice is killing me. In the links down in the video description and pinned comment. I'm gonna have more about them in the spot later in the video. Let's talk about some 10th edition 40k. What's up, folks? Welcome back to TacticalTortoise. My name is Trevi, and Adepticon 2023 just happened, and oh my god, it was absolutely sick. As you can probably hear, my voice is absolutely shot from 4 straight days of hanging out with people and talking, so I apologize if I'm a little bit huskier than I am in my normal content. Big thanks to everyone who came by my booth and said hi. I really appreciate it. And everyone I saw there was absolutely sweet, so it was an absolutely awesome weekend, and I hope anyone who visited the convention had a good time as well. We had some huge announcements for Warhammer 40k, including, and mostly, to be honest, 10th edition. I plan to make a lot more 10th edition content over the course of the coming week, talking about the exciting possibilities and announcements for the new edition, so please do all the YouTube stuff, like and subscribe to the video if you want to hear that. But I'm going to talk about one thing that I think could be a potential problem with the rules that were spoiled for the new edition. First, we're going to talk about Vox Link, and then we're going to dive right in. If you're watching this video right now, you and I probably have something very important in common. We both spend way too much time on YouTube. We both like playing miniatures games. But there's one special secret ingredient that miniatures games need to be absolutely great: an opponent. But those can be hard to come by if you're playing in a new location, new to the community, or maybe just moved to a new area, which is why I'm happy to talk to you about Vox Link. Vox Link is a new community building app designed by tabletop gamers for tabletop gamers. This new app is live on Kickstarter as we speak and will allow you to post up that you're looking for a game and the type of game that you're looking to play, and allow others to find and message you based on proximity. You'll also be able to use it to find new play groups, register for organized play events, communicate with local players, and even get notified about new content from your favorite content creators. Really, it's a wholesale social media app designed explicitly for tabletop gamers of all varieties, including those playing miniature games like Warhammer 40k. At launch, the Vox Link app is going to be free, but you can join as a premium member. And if you jump on the Kickstarter today, you can get enormous discounts on your premium membership. Premium membership is going to unlock some special abilities like event publishing and bracketing, 5% off purchases with brands such as Magnet Baron, Baron of Dice, and Dicehead Games, exclusive content on the app, and a verified badge, as well as exclusive beta access to the app and all of its features. Getting established in any new community is always hard, and especially so for the tabletop gaming community, which is why we need a tool like Vox Link to link players together.
I see what you did there.
So I've got one niggling doubt in my brain about 10th edition. I think on the whole, I want to be clear. Every single piece of information that was released in the announcement over at Adepticon, and if you haven't seen it, please go over to the Games Workshop YouTube channel, youtube.com/Warhammer, and check out, first of all, the animated trailer. Holy crap, absolutely sick, but then also their announcement videos talking about some of the changes and revisions coming with the new edition. Every change I think I've seen so far makes it look like the game's going to be phenomenally advanced. It sounds like we're going to be angling for a sub 2-hour playtime for the game. There's going to be less rules to think about. Army building is going to be easier. It's going to be easier to get new players into the game. I mean, this is all pie in the sky stuff. Obviously, the Games Workshop design team is notorious for not delivering on these promises or for bungling new releases. And I think for sure there's going to be some growing pains for the new edition. But that said, I do think that if at least half of what they promise is true, 10th edition is going to be awesome. I know there's some doomsaying out there, and I don't really put too much stake in it. One thing that they focus on in their announcement is a less of a focus on stratagems. Stratagems and command points will still be in the game, but each sub-faction will only have, I think, around 6 unlocked. Now, the other thing is that list building being simplified. You only choose a sub-faction, and that gives you a unique set of abilities. Inky, you want to talk about 10th edition 40k? It sounds like you should look to a codex like World Eaters for an example of this, where the codex is only broken down into 2 sub-factions. Each sub-faction has its own set of abilities and stratagems, and it's much less than you would normally have to deal with dealing with a standard codex in 9th edition, which can have up to 20 or 25 stratagems in it that are usable for not only the army as a whole, but then each individual sub-faction, which adds additional abilities on top. We're not going to be dealing with that stuff in 10th edition. Now, this can be a double-edged sword, however. In his interview talking about the announcement of the new edition, Stu Black, the head of the design studio, talks about how most of the stratagems available to sub-factions in the game are going to be reactive abilities you use on your opponent's turn.
Stratagems, we've really kind of looked at the ones that have the most impact and tried to make stratagems things that are either reactions that you can do in your opponent's phase, or kind of one-off cinematic things. And so what that really does is it means that at the table when you're playing, you're not flicking through 30-odd stratagems going, hang on, I'm sure there's a cool one in here somewhere.
With the idea that this is going to create a lot more interaction between players from a turn-to-turn basis. That's one of the biggest criticisms of 40k, but obviously, if you have a lot of stratagems to use during your opponent's turn, you will still be considering your tactics as both players are operating. Now that's cool because each army can have a unique brace of abilities. World Eaters, for example, their two big ones that are used in almost every game are a 6-inch heroic intervention and fight on death, mostly for core units. And if you have to keep those in your head for the World Eaters matchup, that's really all you need to remember. The rest of their abilities don't really have too much of an impact. But if each sub-faction has their own set of abilities, that could be problematic. In addition, we also got a little bit of a preview of some new data sheets for the game. And this is really where the heart of potential problems, I think, arises. We got 2 data sheets previewed for termagants. And obviously, this looks like a little bit of an editing error in the video. Either there are 2 termagant profiles available to Tyranids, obviously termagants being the small little scuttling bugs carrying a gun. One of them shows them with Ripper Swarms attached to the unit that changes the attributes of the unit. The other one does not. And that one is the one being previewed on Warhammer Community right now. So I have a sneaking suspicion that the one with the Ripper Swarms was a playtest document that was given to the video editors probably months ago and added in there. But the more recent version is the termagant data sheet that has the ability Skulking Horrors. Now, this is a reactive ability. Anytime enemy units move up close to the termagant unit, they're able to move D6 out of turn. And honestly, this is super cool. It could basically make it extremely difficult to charge and engage with termagants. They are a primarily ranged unit. They're light infantry, so they die super easily. So the sucky thing is if you have these small units that are moving up, they have short range guns, they're going to shoot at you, they're immediately going to be charged. But Skulking Horrors makes it much tougher. You can also use that to double stack them on objectives. You can steal objectives out of sequence, and it's something that your opponent has to constantly keep in their mind, especially if you have multiple units of Tyranids in range of objective markers or in range of being charged. Your opponent's going to have to be able to deal with multiple movements during their own turn from all of these units scuttling around. Now that's super cool, but this is 100% of the data sheets that we see for the game, and this is all we have to extrapolate off of right now. So what this says to me is that it is likely that a lot of data sheets are going to have these reactive abilities. And honestly, from an interaction standpoint, just like the stratagems, this is awesome for 40k. I think that removing stratagems and removing a lot of the more banal rules of the game and streamlining it means that there is this space for additional interactivity, but I'm worried about the cognitive load. Right now, people are already having trouble dealing with the massive number of stratagems available to each faction in the game. And if the place of those additional stratagems, so instead of having 25 stratagems in a faction in 9th edition, you are going to have 6 stratagems in a faction in 10th edition, but most of your units or even half of your units will unlock these reactive abilities that both you and your opponent will have to keep track of over the course of a turn. It doesn't really change that much, and in fact probably makes the game much more difficult to play. In a full army activation game, abilities that mess with your own turn during the turn can absolutely throw off your game plan, and they, in some situations they can ruin games. And I'm worried that if there's a lot of these overlapping reactions happening over the course of a game, it gets complicated and players are going to get confused, they're going to get forgotten, or they're going to get forgotten about, and they're going to be gotchas. This is basically a perfect example of a gotcha ability. Oh, you thought I was off the objective, you moved too close with a guy, now I'm on the objective. You thought you were going to charge, you moved too close, I'm going to move away, now your charge is going to be difficult or even impossible. Now, I'm a little bit biased here from the standpoint of somebody who plays in tournaments a lot. These are the kind of rules that I really enjoy because they think they add a lot of depth to the game. But I think that from the standpoint of someone who is less enfranchised in the game than me, if the game has a wide swath of these abilities, it's gonna it's going to be a little bit tough. And I'm worried that we're just sort of sacrificing one tyrant in the stratagem system of 9th edition for another, which is this reaction system in 10th edition. Now, obviously, without knowing the core rules, there may be rules governing these reactive abilities, and this could just be a one-off. They decided to show off the Termagant unit because it has a cool new mechanic, and nothing else in the game has that. We just don't know right now, but I do want to caution people that this is a possibility, and it may change the face of 40k, and, potentially make it a much more difficult for you if you're not somebody who plays the game very often. Anyway, that's it for me today. Big thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about these reactive abilities. I imagine that this ability on the Termagant datasheet is going to be one of the most controversial ones in the new edition, so we'll see how it goes. Big thanks as well to Vox Link for supporting the channel. Thanks as well to everyone who supports the channel either over on Patreon at patreon.com/TacticalTortoise, YouTube channel members and Twitch subscribers. All you people are great and wonderful, and I love you. Remember to keep it classy, folks, and have happy wargaming.